Hi, Nick Cox here, speaking from Fit for Life Fitness Studio here in Ayr, which is the wee gym that I own and train personal training clients out of, and got loads of rowing machines as well, because that was a bit of my background before Strongman. Well, before the indoor rowing, I was a professional and semi-professional rugby player. Started off down in England, then moved up to Scotland 20 years ago now, 21 years ago. Played pro in England and then semi-pro here in Scotland, finishing up at Ayr, which is where my studio is. I stay up in East Kilbride, but finishing at Ayr, where I was lucky enough to win the league and cup double. Won the league and the cup also at Glasgow Hawks prior to that, and in my last couple of years I got a cap for the Scotland club international team, playing against Ireland and then getting injured before the France game. So injuries were quite a big part of my rugby career. A lot of broken bones and still some aches and pains from those days, especially when I'm going downstairs in the morning, which probably isn't the best when you then take up Strongman, but hey ho. So yeah, I've always loved sport, always been involved at a reasonably high level, and certainly at a very competitive level, which is something that I absolutely thrive on. So yeah, I decided to do Strongman because I always loved Strongman, and I think from about the age of 12 or 13 it had come to like Christmas time and I'd be watching World's Strongest Man on TV and I'd be wanting to quit rugby and take up Strongman. I was fairly strong from like a really young age, especially once I went pro and started getting some really good strength and conditioning coaching. And sometimes the winter's a bit of a downtime for me and I'd always feel a bit disillusioned with what was going on. I'm not saying I didn't love playing rugby, but every year I would have that same kind of, I'm going to stop this and do Strongman. Obviously I never did. I played through till the age of 31, 32 when I've played a couple of times actually into my 40s as well, but just messing around. But absolutely no to any future offers to play rugby. But no, I was always quite strong. I love conditioning. Also before after rugby, I got into indoor rowing. I was the Scottish indoor 500 metre champion a couple of times and second in Britain in lockdown over the 500. So I've done a lot of indoor rowing, really enjoy that. I'm a qualified Concept 2 coach, and that's a big part of the work that I do now. It's one of the machines that I love to use with clients and myself. So, but yeah, I was reasonably strong, and so I thought, I'm going to give Strongman a go 2 years ago. So just coming up the beginning of 24, I thought, right, I'm going to give strength a real shot. But I was totally self-coached. If you take away like all the coaching I got when I was playing pro, so I signed up for it. It was either novice or beginner at West Coast, and I went over there and I hadn't touched most of the implements before. There was the I can't even remember, so a frame carry, and like I wasn't sure about that. Some of the different size of dumbbells and stuff like that, wasn't used to that. But anyway, went down there, had a brilliant day. I was absolutely bricking it. So genuinely actually fearful of would anyone talk to me sort of thing. Felt very intimidated, but what an amazing community of folk, and met some folk who I already knew. Big Ewan used to work in the co-op next door to where my studio is, who got in his first Scotland's Strongest Man this year, so that was cool. I won that event, the beginners or the novice, whatever it was. And then later in the year I went up to Victory and did I think it was Inters competition. On anything that requires any amount of technique, I was just terrible. And stuff that required a bit of brute strength, I was okay. And so I really enjoyed it. After that I got myself a log, which is back there somewhere. I use it for clients as well, so I just got the 25 kilo one, and from Factory Weights, and I started trying to train a little bit with that. I decided this year that I was going to deadlift every week, and I've pretty much, apart from when I've been in off or tapering for the comps or just finishing them. I've done that. So I went to the Natties in January, and this was the big, or February, I can't remember, but this was the really big turning point for me. I just realised that, very presumptively, and probably arrogant might be too strong a word, but like I realised that I needed to, that strongman wasn't just about being strong, it was about all the technique that was involved. Like I couldn't even hold the grip things. I never used the yoke, so I've now bought a yoke in here. But after that, I couldn't even lift the rubber stones. I started to hurt my back, and cramp up, so I didn't even finish the event. But I met some really good guys like Craig Lewis, got chatting to me and told me about the gym that he goes to, Hostile in Motherwell, and because I live in East Kilbride, I joined Hostile, and I saw that the CYG Scotland's Strongest Man Inters was coming up, so I was like, right, I'm going to train really dedicated towards that. So, I've got the log, I've got a couple of sandbags, I was deadlifting, and I was going on to Hostile, so I was managing to get a little bit of training, guys helping me out with stuff. Gordon Seth was really good helping me out with stuff, so I'm trying to get better in that way. And I went along to that event not really knowing what to expect. Again, like you see some of the guys on Instagram and get slightly freaked out, so again I turn up slightly scared. It starts with a truck pull, and nearly got in a fight with Connor because I think I nearly dented the bonnet of his motor when I got to the end of that. But yeah, the day went brilliantly and I came first, and I didn't actually know, but that got me, Stephen very kindly paid me into the Scotland's Strongest Man Masters after that. So that was back in like just a couple of months ago. So, but I've been looking at coaches and asking around and stuff, and one of the coaches who just kept coming up again and again was Andy McWilliam, and he coached Ewan, and like Ewan was kind of like the only guy who I knew in the community at that point, to say hi to more. And folk at Hostile spoke really highly of him. He also trains at Hostile a bit, which was quite a big thing for me, that sometimes we could just bump in and get some help. So started prepping with Andy, 7th of July, and yeah, it was brilliant. I mean, I learned how rubbish I am at everything and how misplaced my faith in my own strength had been, because like he's just basically torn a whole load of that apart. But it got me really well prepped for the competition. Went down there, and I had half a hope that I might be able to push onto the podium. I'm very competitive. I'm very driven in that sense, and that can be good and bad at times. And as the day went on, just kept plugging away. Wasn't amazing at anything, but was pretty consistent with most things. And yeah, I finished up second behind Leon there, and so that got us qualified for the British Strongest Man Masters down in Birmingham, which is just near where I grew up. So I went down there at the beginning of November with all my family, my 2 daughters, my stepkids, my wife, and yeah, again, just like a absolutely brilliant day. Wasn't expecting much outwardly, although again, I'm just thinking, well, if I came second in Scotland, I've got to be maybe even in with a chance of being in the top few here. And just went out and worked hard again, not amazing at anything, but consistent across it all. Deadlift again being my weakest thing, but came out in second place behind Leon, which was brilliant. He's a fantastic athlete to kind of follow. So that's kind of the journey. I wouldn't say that there was any, when I signed up at CYG for Inters, there was no major, this is going to be the progression, because I didn't know what the progressions were. Yeah, it just progressed onto the Scotlands and then onto Brits, and I think that's where it finishes for now. So like, in terms of like what's coming up, I'm really looking forward to next year. As soon as I saw the Scotland Strongest Man qualifiers this year, I had in my head that that's something I want to do. I want to qualify for Scotland's Strongest Man, and going along and seeing the guys compete earlier, like a couple of months ago at the SEC, was just really, really inspiring, and I want to be there. That's the level I aspire to compete at. I'll be 44 in January, so but I'm stronger than I've ever been, and I think my strongest and fittest years are still to come. So that's a huge aim. I was going to do natties again, but just because I've got so much to learn technically still, I mean we all do, but so much to learn technically, I'm going to give that a miss this year so that I can just put all my focus into the qualifiers for Scotland's Strongest Man. But also from a coaching point of view, I'm really excited because I'm actually going to bring a couple of my clients to CYG for their Masters novice or beginners, whichever it is, I can't remember, but yeah, so I've got like aspirations for next year, go one better in Scotland's Strongest Man Masters and Britain's Strongest Man Masters, so I hope Leon's up for the fight there, and Scotland's Strongest Man myself would just be absolutely amazing, but also to start bringing through some of my clients who have, just as I've got into it, they were already strength training, but they've just seen how much I've enjoyed it and they're keen for that as well. So that's what the future holds. I've been competing all my life. I plan to be competing all my life. And I look forward to just seeing more of you around the scene as I get to become more and more part of that over the coming years. Cheers.